Howdy everyone, George Shively from South Shore Marine Electronics on board our next project here. This is a 39 Cruisers that we're going to be adding an autopilot to, as well as a VHF and radar. There's currently a classic E-Series Raymarine display which we've already removed here from the helm, and we're going to be adding radar to that to add radar capability, autopilot, a Furuno Navpilot 711, and a ICOM M504 VHF radio. One of the things I wanted to show here, and this is many times you run into these kind of things, is if you look here inside the helm, you'll see this area right in here. And that's kind of what I want to call your attention to. You can tell where you've got the big large gauge wire feeding that bottom lug, and then this top lug right here that has several wires, kind of hanging off of it. That's the 12 volt feed inside the helm. And really what should be done there is, instead of just constantly putting more ring terminals on a big 5/16 bolt, is to take a feed off of that, run it to a fuse panel so that everything can have its own individual fuse. Just be a lot neater, a lot more organized, so that when service is required, you can tell what's what. And certainly there's plenty of room right up in this area to put a little fuse panel, and then individually label everything, rather than having a situation like is on this bolt right here that what's this? I don't know. What's this? I don't know, I think that's the E120. What's this? I don't know. No label. So we like to have it look as nice on the inside, if not nicer on the inside than the outside, because service and reliability is critical, and if you can't tell what you've got on the inside, then that's a problem. So that's one of the things that we've kind of found as we're working on the boat here. Also found that one of the speakers, the starboard speaker, wasn't in the best of condition. Brought that to the owner's attention as well. As I said, we're in the process here of adding a Raymarine radar. We'll go up on the hardtop here. This hardtop's a little bit different than most of them, in that this is a moving part of the hardtop. The center of the hardtop on this boat opens to allow sun. So the only place that you can really put a radar is all the way on the aft end of the hardtop, and we're in the process of drilling the holes for that now. So just kind of wanted to give you an initial look at what we're doing here. Kind of bringing the boat up to snuff, if you will. Next time we visit, we should have more accomplished and more to show you. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, George Shively, South Shore Marine Electronics, back with you. Just kind of touching bases to show you what we've gotten done so far. The new radar has been installed on a mount, which was necessary in this case because we had very little room for the footprint of the radar. So we used a mount, and we're going to tie the nav light into that. That's what that hole is with the wires coming out of the back. That's going to be the new nav light. It's going to look real sharp. Done a lot of work here inside the helm thus far. If you noticed before, we had a lot of wires that were coming off of, hang on a minute, we had a lot of wires that were coming off of this stud right here. There's still a couple, but those are wires that were installed by Cruisers. They're not, add-ons. And rather than tie into that 12 volt post for power, what we've done is we've gone ahead and installed a fuse block inside the helm so that everything can have its own power feed. It'll all be neat, it'll all be labeled so that we can tell what's what. Even if you look at some of the wiring here that Cruisers has on the boat, if you look, probably can't get close enough to show you, but if you look on the end of those yellow wires, you'll see numbers. Those are to indicate what those are for, so that if you're troubleshooting something on the boat, you know what you're dealing with. We kind of want to keep that same theme, and all of our main power connections will be identified so we know where they are, because we're adding a VHF radio, we're adding an autopilot, we're adding radar, and all of those things obviously require power. The other thing we've gotten done is we've gone ahead and done the installation of the hydraulics. You can see how we've teed off here, and we've done the installation of the hydraulics, bled the system, put the fluid back in, and the hydraulic pump is remotely located. It is not inside the helm. So that's kind of what we're doing now, some of the less than glamorous work. So also got the VHF installed, and the autopilot is installed. So the everything's still kind of loose, not quite wrapped up yet, but autopilot on your right there and the VHF on the left, both will be tied into the NEMA data stream coming out of the E120 to facilitate DSC on the VHF, and then a ability to navigate to a waypoint with the autopilot. So that's where we're at right now. We'll touch bases later. Thank you. Hi everyone, back with you on board the 390 Cruisers. Just want to take a moment here to step inside the helm for a moment and show you what we've done. When we originally opened up the helm, we had noticed that the main power wiring for the existing chart plotter, or Raymarine 120, was coming off this main block right here. Also, the other thing too is there was no fuse on that E120. So by the time the main would have gone, the device would have really been cooked. So we've changed that around a little bit now. Now if you look in there, you can see that we've got a bona fide fuse block. Everything is labeled, so we know what it is. And there's a couple extra slots there, so if something needs to be added later on, there's room to do so in a proper fashion. The other thing we've done here is we've gone ahead and put in a bus. It's probably a little bit difficult to see here, but it says NEMA 183 data, and that's the bus that will supply NEMA data from the E120 to both the autopilot, and you can see that that's labeled, as well as the VHF for DSC operation. We've gone ahead and programmed the VHF with the owner's new Mobile Maritime Service Identity, their MMSI, which really enables this distress button. Without being properly integrated to a position fixer and having an MMSI programmed into the radio, pushing that button is really probably going to frustrate more of the Coast Guard people than it's going to help them. So it really is important, if you do have, and you should have, a VHF radio with DSC capability, to have it properly integrated to your position fixer, as well as having an MMSI programmed into the radio, which is basically all of your pertinent information: who owns the boat, what the boat looks like, OH or documentation numbers, people to call in case of an emergency that are unlikely to be on the boat, who can verify your whereabouts, etc., etc. So that's about it there. We're getting ready to do some more work down in the engine room as far as the rudder reference unit. We did complete the radar light bar installation, and you can see that now at this point. We've left that all loose because in all likelihood that's probably all going to have to come off when the boat is trailered. But that looks a whole lot nicer than if we would have tried to reuse the simple stainless steel light bar that was on there. So that just looks a whole lot more polished and kind of like it just rolled off the line that way, which is the way we want it to look. So anyway, we're just about ready to put the main display back in the helm here. All of our wiring inside the helm is complete, and we're going to put the display back in and start wrapping things up here. We'll be back when everything's done. Hello everyone, wrapping up here on the 390 Cruisers. Wanted to give you a view of the helm here. That's kind of all put together and powered up. The new ICOM M504 VHF radio, DSC enabled. You're seeing on the screen there, it says no position, no time, because we're inside of a storage building. So we don't have any live data there. The Furuno autopilot, which is alive and well. Just waiting sea trials on that. And the Raymarine, the existing Raymarine E120 chart plotter, multifunction display, which has now been software updated, and you can see on the right side it says scanner in standby, so it's now recognizing the new HD scanner that is on top of the boat that we've looked at before. So everything here on the helm is done. I wanted to give you a quick look downstairs real quick and show you how we did the layout on the autopilot pump and the brain, because that had to be remotely mounted on this boat because there was simply no room at the helm. So what we did was we came down in the cabin and we mounted the autopilot pump, which you see there, and below that is the autopilot brain unit, the master control that does all the processing for the autopilot. Wiring with nice service loops in it so that in the event that the autopilot the brain needs to be serviced, it can be taken out and set in this horizontal area that you see right here and easily worked on and then put back where it's located. That's one of the things that we find a great deal of, is that from a serviceability standpoint, the electronics, whoever installed them, really didn't allow them to be serviced. That's why you see all of that wire coming down to the autopilot control unit. It gives enough room to take that whole unit off the wall, lay it right down in this area to easily work on it and service it, and then put it back where it goes. So I wanted to kind of show what we did down here. Usually we'll put the autopilot pump, which you see in the upper part of the screen there, on the in the helm area. This is in the helm, but it's sort of underneath the helm because there is no access panel in the helm, with the exception of the E120 control unit, which you can see there. So that is really kind of acting as the multifunction display and the access panel for the helm. So that's it. We're done. We're wrapped up. All we need to do is sea trials when the boat hits the water, go over all the instrumentation with the owner, show them how to use it, and we're done. So again, as always, South Shore Marine Electronics at oh.rr.com. If you'd like to telephone us, it's 216-407-6553, and we appreciate you looking. And if you have any questions or have any projects that you're interested in having us quote, please get in touch. Thank you very much.